People with cognitive difficulties, also some with physical disabilities also. But we do see a lot of people who have brain injuries and strokes, so that they need to go back to work, and so we need to look at their ability to do parts of their job and see if they can do that here. And then we can simulate the demands of their job and see how they respond and how they perform, in different situations. So for this, if someone had a job where they had to manipulate things, stand for a while, follow directions, then this would be the perfect way to start out. And we can grade it too, so I can start with the easiest one, and I can have them move up to the hardest one, and they can grade the complexity of it. So it's really perfect for that.
Do you typically start with the baby bear chair and then go to the mama bear chair and then the papa bear chair?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I think the baby bear chair might be too easy, so I'll start with something a little complicated, more complicated. So we've also had people do, maybe a combination of both, where they've got one chair going on one side and we switch, have them alternate to something a little bit more difficult. So
at the same time?
Yeah, we can kind of mix it up and make them do, more than one task, or maybe they're doing one thing over here and then they have to move to a different part of the room and switch back and forth to do something else.
Super.
So there's lots of ways you can layer the task, so I like that part of it too.
Good.
You definitely need to be able to grade the activity, so you might need to start out small or easier for them, and then if they do really well, then I can just add more complexity and help them build their confidence too, because it's really hard for some people to feel confident after a brain injury or stroke, and so when they can start building that up, say, oh yeah, I can do this in the clinic, so then that will help them in going back to work, and they usually feel much better about going back to work when we do that for them. And then also sometimes I might choose something that's a little too complicated for them at this time, but their job is just as complicated, so then it will help them develop insight, because they'll say, oh, well, if I can't do this here, then it would be hard for me to do it at work also. So it helps us to help people develop the insight into what's going on and make decisions regarding going back to work. So I like that part of it too. So we have the other SWAGs, structure work activity groups, and there's all sorts of ways we can make things complicated, just like a regular work environment. You get interruptions, or you have more than one thing that you're doing at a time. You have to switch from one thing to another. So we'll have the phone messages going and people have to answer the phone, or we'll tell them in 10 minutes you have to start the mailing list task on the computer. So we really have a lot of flexibility in the way we can layer our SWAGs and our pods, and I really like that part.
Good.
Yeah, the SWAG 1, the clerical SWAG, that is really an excellent activity, because if you have someone who has an office job and they have to do a lot of detailed number entry, data entry, or if they have to use the computer, then we have the perfect activity for that, and that's SWAG 1. And so I get people on the computer who use their computer at their work, and I have them do extra things along with the SWAGs. Like I might have them enter things into the computer, answer phone messages. I might have them make up a spreadsheet, just like the forms in the SWAG. I tell them, well, we need this new form put into the computer. And so for people that are doing jobs in an office, it's a really good activity. So someone with a brain injury, if you're not sure whether or not they're going to have good attention to detail, or whether they're going to be able to tolerate interruptions to their day, then it's a good way to simulate that also. So I have a guy right now, and he's a distributor for a bread company in this area, and so he has to push around the bread carts and load and unload bread in different stores all day long. And then at the end of this day, he has to take inventory of all the damaged bread he's had, and also put in product numbers of the items that he's gone through during the day. So I use one of the swags, the mailing list maintenance one, for him, and at the end of his shift, when he's done working with me, he puts in the zip codes, and those are also product codes for him. So he's putting those in and making sure he's accurate, and at the end of the day, when he's worked hard, I worked with him for 2 hours today, he's done a lot of physical stuff, then see how he does with some detailed entry of numbers. So, and I've also had him do it on like kind of a smaller computer too. We have like a little handheld device, and so I've had him enter in those same zip codes on the handheld device because it's more representative of what he uses. So that's really helpful. It's been a good activity for him. Just like the end of his day, you know, he has to kind of finish up his day's activity, take stock, look at the inventory, and so I try to simulate that part. So I really like the pods because they're all together and ready to be used. And so if I have someone who needs to do an assembly task in their job, or if I'm needing to look at their ability to follow some directions and put something together, then they really are useful for that because they're right there, they're easy to grab, and I can just do a quick assessment of their ability to follow directions or assemble something. The other thing that I can do is work on standing intolerance with them and their ability to manipulate things with their hands and coordination. So it has a lot of uses. So I really like that.